Hi there, I'm Rex Sykes, and welcome to All Things Rex on the Los Angeles Tribune TV network. I am so glad to be here, and I know you are too, because I have a special guest today, Michelle McClain, and we're going to bring her up in just a minute. I'm going to tell you, I'm wearing a jacket at the outdoors because one of my friend guests, Mr. Ori Spado, you know him as the Accidental Gangster. There you go, there's his book, a fabulous guy. Says, Rex, you got to be wearing a suit. And I'm like, but I'm outdoors. He goes, you got to be wearing a suit. So, in deference to my friend, I'm wearing a suit. So, I hope you like it. It may be the only time you see me wearing a suit outdoors, but at least here we are. I want to bring on Michelle McClain. She is a fascinating person, and there's her photo. And she's a health and vitality expert. She knows what she's talking about. She's overcome a lot of things in her own life. And because of that, she knows how to help you. So I'm going to bring Michelle on right now. And there she is. Hi, Michelle. How are you doing?
Hi, good. I love the jacket.
Well, I wore it for you too. I didn't think of it that way at first, but I wore it to impress you. So if I've done that, I've done well.
It looks amazing.
Well, thank you so much, and so do you. So do you. I'm glad that you're here. And so let's introduce you. And I'm going to, by way of introduction, let's have you. Hi, Scott. Let's have you tell a little bit about yourself because you have a riveting story, and I want you to be able to share it and let people know what you've overcome and what you've done so that they know that why to listen to you because some of us don't walk the talk, but you absolutely do, and I want to make sure that everybody knows that. So, Michelle, it's all
Yeah,
yours.
thank you. So first, thank you so much for having me on. Yeah, this is something that I'm really passionate about is just wellness in all areas. So I consider myself to be kind of a coach on almost intake, right? Intake in all areas of life. So not just food wise, or not just what we're intaking through our mouths, but literally our entire life of intake. But I just it started out being in the health and wellness industry. So I'll just tap into that a little bit. So I ended up starting into health coaching actually because I got fired from my previous jobs for drinking on the job. I was actually a previous alcoholic. So I only really started diving into this health and wellness industry because I had to create an income for myself. And diving into that, as I started learning about coaching and learning about what to eat and what not to eat, it actually started changing me as a person. It started changing the way I looked at food, my relationship to food. I started realizing how toxic my current relationship was to food. At the time, I ate maybe 1 or 2 meals a day, would usually be fast food, which AKA chemicals. Which side note, all majority of fast foods are chemicals. They're not actually even real food. And not a lot of you guys already know that, but you probably just need to hear it again. Reminder, when your body takes in chemicals like that, your cells are built to use real food, right? You're built to eat real food. So then your cells are like, what do I do with these chemicals? I'll just shove it here. And then later on, we'll just call it cancer. We'll call it some kind of dis-ease of the body. Dis-ease is simply just something that needs to be cleared out, right? So that's kind of how I started with myself. I started this journey learning all this material and then actually starting to live it out. And I noticed my digestive issues went away, my insomnia issues went away, my needing to have 10 energy drinks a day, that went away. I started having this natural fuel, this natural energy. And it was all by what I was putting in. It was all this intake. And it blew my mind. My body started transforming. I got abs for the first time in my life. I was like, okay, not even mad about it. And I wasn't even trying for abs. It's just, your body will naturally become what you want of it when you start putting good things in your body. Literally, a lot of times I tell my clients, you don't even have to focus on getting this bomb body. If you focus on putting the good things in, your body will start kicking things off that it doesn't need anymore. Your body will literally just be like, I don't even need that stored fat anymore because you're feeding me the nutrients that I need. I don't even need to hold on to all that fat anymore because that's the majority of the time what we're doing. We're holding on to this fat because we're not feeding our body the actual nourishment, the actual nutrients and minerals that our bodies need. Like I said, if you're going through as fast food as every meal, baby, your body is begging for nutrients. You're over it, your calorie intake is probably crazy high and full of chemicals, and then your body's begging, nourish me, please take care of me. It's almost a form of self-hatred is what I've learned. It's a lack of self-love when we're not nourishing, when we're not taking care of ourselves and our physical bodies. My belief is that we are a spirit. We're in this human like glove or this human, vessel type thing. And so part of it is just is giving the body the access to do what it needs to do by putting the right things in. So that was kind of just getting started into that field, and I fell in love with it. And just seeing how much I personally transformed, and then I started just helping people around me, transform and changing how they live the lifestyle that they were living. And I really, go ahead.
Sure, I didn't want to interrupt you, but I did want to ask a question. But do you want to finish your thought?
It's already passed, so I'm on to the next one with you.
Helping people based on what you knew, but let me go back and ask you this. You said, one, you replaced chemicals with actual nutrition.
Yes.
And that's what people need to do. But you also stopped drinking. You said I was an alcoholic, but you stopped drinking. So I'm going to ask you about that in a minute. But is it fair? And what you then said is I got abs. When I started eating the right food, I got abs. So my question or observation would be, when you're eating properly, the right nutrients, your body actually reconstitutes itself without you having to do a whole lot to it or for it. I mean, in other words, because you're getting the proper nutrition, essentially in the right amounts, then the body has its own wisdom and will reconstitute. I mean, you can help it along, you can exercise and do other things, but is it fair to say that, in other words, I might not lose weight, but I may reshape, or I could lose weight and reshape?
Completely. Like, personally, my body looks nothing like how it used to. Literally, things just completely things just went here instead of there, and like I was able to keep a muscle tone that I never had. My body completely redesigned itself, and that's even why my Instagram is Design Your Body, because it's literally like you can really redesign your body. You have millions of cells that die every single day in your body, and millions of cells that are regrown. And depending on how you feed those cells every single day is depending on what your body is going to look like, because your whole body will completely will redesign itself. You're in every single cell, your eyeballs, your ears, the cells of everything, all the organs of the body. Like, it gets you really hyped. Everything will completely redesign itself. So it's really exciting to know, like, if you have a body you don't like right now, if you have a really toxic body, if you really have a really unhealthy body, you can literally start to redesign it day by day, just focusing on, okay, what I'm about to feed these new cells that are growing in this second, because you have new cells growing literally in every single second. So if you focus on, okay, if I'm nourishing these new coming cells, I can have a completely different self in this next year, in the next 2 years. You can have I look younger than I ever have. I've literally almost, I want to say, aged backwards because of how heightened my awareness is of what I'm putting in my body. So it's giving the cells the opportunity to create your best, healthiest self.
So how does a person start? I mean, when you said you started, you imagine you eliminated certain things and added in other things. So for the people watching you today, is there a tip or a suggestion you can give? And I know we'll talk more about, what you do in total, because, you have a system, a method for accomplishing a lot of personal and physical change and mental and spiritual. I mean, the whole person change. So we'll talk more about that in a second. But is there a starting point that someone should be aware of?
Yes. So, and I'm going to cover some basic things. And so you might be like, I've heard that before, but if you're not doing it, you haven't heard it enough. That's what I've always been taught. If you've heard it so many times, but you're not actually doing it, something hasn't clicked yet. So maybe this could be the shift. If you've been praying for a sign, here I am, baby. The first thing I would say is, when you wake up, the first thing that needs to go in your body is water. And I just say, sleep with it next to your bed. Sleep with, if you can do 24 ounces, like if you can do 30 ounces, or if you're just baby stepping into it, 8 ounces. Just do a little 8-ounce cup. You can sleep it on your right side and just slam it when you wake up. And literally this will start to clean out, because while you're sleeping, your body is detoxifying. So you wake up with all these toxins wanting to be flushed out. They're like asking, help me get out of your body. I don't want to be here anymore. I'm trying to help. Like, your body's literally always working for you. The body is a beautiful specimen, and it's trying to work on your behalf. So giving it the water it needs to flush out all these toxins is the best thing you can do. And if you want to take it a little step higher, making it a lemon water. So cutting open a lemon and squeezing some fresh lemon, organic lemon, in that water is going to help to clean out everything that throughout the night was getting detoxified. So I would say, like, even if that's like one thing you can master having a lemon water, or, if you just want to do water, just do water. You still get points on the board for that. but I would say 100% is water. So the cells in your body, they actually can live forever. The cells of your body actually can live forever. It just depends on if you take care of them, if you nourish them, you take care of them enough that they actually live forever. But it's about being hydrated, then giving the cells the opportunity to detoxify. The cells can literally like take care of themselves, like they're built to. Your body's built to take care of itself. So it's just giving it things like the water to where it can actually absorb and not like look like a raisin, right? This will actually help with aging too, right? Because that's your cells start to look like raisins. You start to, get dehydrated. We're 70% water. So although I will say some of us are 70% Coca-Cola or 70% Sprite, oh my gosh, or fruit juices, which it's all this processed sugar that's actually terrible for our bodies. It's like a cocaine addiction for the brain. So a lot of us are not actually 70% water, and your cells are begging for it. And that's the reason for a lot of dis-ease that starts in the body, because it's not cleaning out the toxins. You're not giving it the avenue to actually clean out the toxins that are begging to be flushed out. So go ahead. Well, I was just going to say, like, next, I would say focus on putting as many greens as you can in your body.
Greens, like
greens. Green leafies, whatever your favorite kind are. Fine, just play around with a few. And I would invite you to have greens in every single meal that you can. This does so many different things. I won't go to all the things that it does for the body, but it helps alkaline it. It helps your body have fiber. Fiber is one of the number one things missing from the American diet right now. And I believe the stat is 80% of diseases start from the digestional tract. Because we don't have enough fiber, we're not actually pushing things through. Things are getting stuck in there. The average person has over 20 pounds of literally stuck of literal crap, stuck in your intestinal tract. And so a big part of it is helping, the water, and then give it the fiber to help pull it out of there. So if you can get in the habit of, even if you're reading a label, looking at, okay, well, if I'm looking between these two things, which one has fiber? Go with the one that has the highest fiber. It's going to really help support moving through things to the digestional tract. You'd be surprised if you start being aware of what you're eating every day and looking at, holy crap, this doesn't have fiber. Some people could go weeks and not even really have hardly any fiber at all. And it's just how depleted the average American, diet is.
Well, on top of it, some people go weeks, months, years and don't have any greens at all. They're eating like burgers and fries and, baked potato. I mean, I like a baked potato, but I mean, they don't actually eat the stuff that helps detoxify or helps move, foods through their system. And or they go to the doctor and the doctor says, you need to take this fiber supplement as opposed to actually putting it in their diet. Mm-hmm. And, fiber supplements can be good or not so good, depending on what they are, and can contribute to more problems than not. If so just eating the right foods in the right amounts and drinking enough water sounds
and focusing on living foods, foods that actually have water in them, like living, like spinach is spinach, apples, things that actually have life to them makes a huge difference too. And this will change up the entire energy of the body. And I don't know if you want me to get into that, but I can talk about like the cells of the body.
Sure.
So the cells of the body actually have hi, Ashley.
Hi, Ashley.
The cells of the body actually have an electrical charge to them. And so basically what you're feeding your body can help or hinder this charge. That's why our body total is an electrical, we're like a battery. And a lot of people, that's kind of hard to understand, but that's why I'm just going to stick with the cells. The cells of the body have an energetic charge to them. And you can basically feed yourself high frequency foods in your body. Oh, we got remix. No, wait, you're on mute, Rex. Nope. Okay, still going.
No, go for a little snafu there. I apologize, and here you are. Excuse me.
But so the cells of the body, like I said, have an electrical charge to them, and so when you start putting foods that have a high charge to them, and to not get into all the details about that, there's something called a Carillion camera. A Carillion camera, and you can look this up. They're about $1,000. I looked at getting one, but this takes a photo of food and the energetic field that the food, if you've studied energetics, you understand this, but everything has an energy to it. Everything has an energetic field to it. So this camera, called a Carillion camera, can take the photo and you can see the energetic field of food. So this is what I love to teach my clients, because this transformed my energy, my body, my mood. This was transformative for me, was learning that food has a frequency. So like I said, it can be measured. There's cameras where you can actually see the energetic field. So food after it's cooked has like half of the field. That's why we've heard people say when you're cooking your greens, you want to cook them to just where they barely turn a bright green and then stop cooking. Because the more you cook, you're cooking the energy out of it. You're cooking the nutrients out of it. And then eventually, if you get to like the fried part, it's like, well, it doesn't have near the life that it had before. So eating for frequency, eating for high energy food can transform your body. You will see a massive change in your energy. That's why having foods like apples, bananas, literally like thinking in just basics. And your grocery list can get super cheap too, because that's you're not buying all this. You can make your shopping list really, really cheap, really affordable. But yeah, by focusing on putting as much raw foods that you can in your body. So fruits and vegetables. That's probably why you've heard how people can actually get rid of different Ori.
I'm wearing a jacket, Ori.
Well, you've heard about people curing, I don't want to use that word, but getting rid of dis-ease in the body by just having things like raw fruits and vegetables. That's why people will be like, oh, you came down with XYZ disease, go on an all raw, fruits and vegetable diet, because it will literally clean out the dis-ease of the body.
Well, this is really valuable. And the other thing that I think is really important for people to understand, people say, well, I can't afford organic, but you know what? You can't afford not organic, because if you're eating a lot of processed and packaged food, you're paying for the packaging, and they're usually devoid of nutrients and they're filled with chemicals. So if you do what Michelle says, and you eat, raw fruits and vegetables, and you shop the periphery of the store, not the cans, the packages, the boxes, and that stuff, but the living foods, then actually you're saving money, but you're also saving yourself.
Yeah, you're either going to pay extra for the organic, or you're going to pay for a prescription later. That's how I see it.
That's
it's just which one you want to spend money on. And there's 82% more nutrients in organic food than non-organic. So I always tell people it's worth the extra dollar for having the actual nutrients. Like, pay the extra dollar. It is so worth it. Yeah, Rex does look pretty great.
That is truly very, very cool, and I appreciate that. Now let's go back just a little bit, because one is there may be people who drink or have a substance abuse problem or have an addiction to alcohol, but on top of that they have addictions to sugar. We're talking about, or fast foods or things. So can we talk a little bit about how you freed yourself from the addiction that you had, that might help people understand how they can free themselves up from the addictions they may have, so that they can move forward and start living a more healthy lifestyle? And what's really beautiful about what you do and what you share is that it's actually very simple. Just go get some fruits and vegetables that are organic, that are living, drink some water with some lemon in it every day. I mean, right there, it's a simple, easy approach. People don't have to,
and my intention is to walk people through. We build a foundation. So we do the baby steps, like that kind of stuff, right? Because it's like, we're not going to be in second grade with somebody who all they do is fast food every single day, and they don't take care of their body. They kind of in a way neglect their body. Maybe they're successful in all these other ways, and then they don't have success though in their physical bodies. So that's my intention, is to help people have success in that area, help them master that space. So now that level meets the rest of all the rest of the other areas. So when it came to drinking, I was filling a void. And that's what addiction typically is, right? We're filling a void. And for me, it was, and I got fired from both of my current jobs for getting caught being drunk on both of them. I was like, I definitely was being spoken to, and I didn't get it at the time. But looking back, like literally getting fired saved my life, transformed my life, because starting living healthier, if that hadn't happened, I would be scared to meet the woman I would have become had I continued.
You don't stop because I start to talk, because I'll stop. I'll shut up, because I just say that is such a powerful point. That is such a very powerful point, because a lot of people will go, crap, I got fired from my job. But in your case, you're like, if I hadn't gotten fired, I may not be like here today. Who would I have become? So when things happen, when you're going down the path, I do believe, it's kind of like the universe gives you a wake up call in whatever way it has to. You take away your job, your car, your home, your family, whatever it has to do to go wake up. So in this case, I just think that's a very powerful statement that you made.
Yeah, and I always remind people of that too. Is just that a lot of times it looks like the worst thing that could ever happen to us, but it was literally the best blessing that could ever happen to me. And at the time, I remember I was literally on my knees. I was bawling my eyes out. Like I didn't come from money. I was working 3 jobs trying to put myself through school. Like and I just remember like bawling on the floor and asking God, like, how am I here? The life that I lived, like, where I came from. How am I here? And just being broken and having no clue what I was going to do. I didn't know how I was going to pay my bills. It was one of the lowest lows of my life. And I just remember being, and I remember I remember talking to God, and I was just like, what, what I've been through, and just like literally like letting God have it in my mind. And then I was like, there's a scripture that says, like, you never close one door without opening the other. Well, I need that door because I don't know if I'm about to live on the street. I don't know what's about to happen. And then it was like shortly thereafter, that's when I ended up getting into health coaching, and it was the stepping stone to changing my life. But I will say, focusing on helping people was an area of my soul that I was trying to fill a gap, right? I was lost. I was broken. I had all these areas that I was trying to fill a void with drinking. Because I was bought into the lie that like, oh, drinking was going to make me feel better. Because I did. I escaped temporarily, right? Like being drunk, I was just in the moment and I was jamming out or whatever it was. Like I could escape the pain that was in my body because I'd been through a lot of trauma. So like mentally, I was fakely happy, right? When friends would be around or I was at work, I knew how to turn it on and how to like jam out and be like, yeah, awesome. Like I knew how to turn that switch on of the fake happiness. But then at home, I was like mixing NyQuil and wine to go to sleep every night because I couldn't sleep because I was miserable being with myself because there was so much, my thought process was just not, I didn't have a healthy, I would say, mental process and how I saw the world. And so I drank it. It made me feel better. But to answer your question, I got on a tangent. My answer to that would be focusing on my future, focusing on helping people was a big part of, not wanting to drink as much. I started just feeling the lesser, I didn't have a void I was trying to fill anymore. I felt more of a purpose all of a sudden.
Well, this again is a great point and maybe useful for the people who are watching. You were drinking and doing it and you were trying to do it alone and were alone. And you knew how to fake it so that you could survive in the world. Stop me if I'm incorrect, but so you knew how to fake it. You knew how to turn on this and that. But at the same time, you're struggling inside. When you decided to quit and you did quit, you did so because one, you could help other people. I mean, you said, I found my purpose or a mission. In other words, is it fair to say that well, somebody just said it. It says focus on helping people. I love it. The focus on helping people takes you out of yourself and helps you also heal because you're focused on helping other people heal. That it makes it easier for us to also heal. Would that be fair to?
Yes. Oh my gosh. When I started getting thank yous from people who I like, or even my stepdad was one of my first clients, and he literally we didn't even really have much of a relationship at the time. And I mean, he was grumpy. He was so overweight. He was on so many medications. We just really didn't talk because it was never healthy for me personally. So I kind of avoided him. But then when I started health coaching, like he of all people needed my help, so to support the family, like he was like, all right, give me what you got kind of thing. He's like Harley guy, tatted up, like just like fits the iconic like image of like, Harley guy. So, he ended up losing a good amount of weight really quick. And he literally cried to me. And because it changed him so much, he was able to get off medications, not because I said so, but because the doctor was like, hey, you don't need this anymore. You don't need this anymore. And it was just changing what he was eating. I couldn't even get him to work out because it was like, I couldn't have paid him to work out. I think he walked around the block twice. So I just, let him do what he wanted to do. But yeah, getting responses like that from other people where I was making an impact. I felt purpose. I didn't feel that emptiness anymore. Because previous jobs, like I'd worked for different liquor companies and I got people hammered. That was my purpose. That's what I was living out on the planet. No offense to anyone in the crowd who, does that, but it didn't make me feel good. I mean, I was hammered, helping other people be hammered. So it was like my influence was something in a way that I wasn't proud of. I wasn't proud of that's what I did all day was I got people hammered and helped with it, and I myself was hammered. So even creating something that I did for a living that I actually loved and I felt really good about. And then I felt other people feel really good about themselves. It was like I was helping other people get confidence and completely transform their life. It actually helped save, I don't want to say save, but it really helped even my mom, my stepdad, their marriage. Like they started having date night and just different things started happening. And I remember being like, initially getting this career, I was going to try to buy her own apartment to get her away from him. That was part of my, intention. And now y'all having date night. I was like, okay, whatever, God, do your thing. I'm just here, doing my job. So starting to see all this happiness I was creating in other people by just living and breathing health and then helping other people do the same thing. It just started transforming me internally. I actually remember I cried for the first time because when you go through so much trauma, sometimes you get just cold-hearted. That's kind of where I'd gotten. I never cried. Like, yeah, right. I couldn't feel anything at that point in my life. So people started crying to me. And I remember feeling like, oh, this is weird. Like, what do I do? And I started feeling emotion come up. And I was like, oh my gosh, I guess I'm gonna let the water fall out of my eyes then. Like so I would say that kind of cured that need and that desire to, like, that a void was naturally getting filled. But I didn't care to drink anymore that much.
That's awesome. I mean, that is truly awesome. Michelle, here's what we're going to do. First off, I want to say, tell us what your website is so that if people want to reach out to you or contact you, they can do that. There have been a few questions that have gone by while we were talking that we haven't addressed. We might. One is, how often do you think it's healthy to get drunk? Asked Ashley. But what we're going to do, there it is. What we're going to do is we're going to take a break. So before we take the break, would you give your website address out so if people want to, so they can go and look at it even while we're on the break, perhaps?
Yes, it is michellemcclain.org.
Michelle McClain. You can. They'll show that in just a little bit on the screen, maybe when we come back. But for now, we're going to take that break. And thank you so much. This is fascinating. When we come back, you can answer Ashley's question. But I also think, you also talk about other things, and that is, mental health and the spiritual health, the idea of feeling fulfilled while also doing things that are important for your body. So you have a whole person approach or a holistic approach to helping people transform. We're going to talk about that on the other side of this break. Okay. And so here we are. Here's a break and everybody can pay.
Hello and welcome to the Los Angeles Tribune. Since 1886, our name has been a part of the world of journalism. We've earned a reputation for being a publication that practices integrity, authenticity, and responsibility. For general inquiries, contact today. Thank you on behalf of the Los Angeles Tribune team.
And welcome back, Michelle. All right. So let's see. There is your web address. That's awesome. And let's take Ashley's question at first. Is it safe, first of all, to get drunk, and how often?
So how do I answer this? Okay, so your body has an electrical charge to it. When you drink, it basically rips the entire charge out of your body, and that's what your hangover actually is. The electrical charge just diminished from your body. That's why we're like, oh my God, I just have no energy. My head hurts. Like, that's what you're feeling, is your body needing its charge back. So I'm not going to say you can or cannot, I will have a drink maybe here or there. Like I feel it so much now in my body since I've raised the energy of my body. I can feel it's not worth it to me anymore. So I don't want to say like the answer, really, the truthful answer would be never. It's not good to get hammered. Like it's a toxin you're just, voluntarily putting in your body. So it's like, my answer would be like never, but right. Who's really going to go for never nowadays? So I would just say being conscious, being aware, of how many you're having, and be just limit it to as limited as you can. I mean, like I said, it's going to have that effect on the body. So if anything, it's the replenishing coconut water, tons of water. Going to put your feet on the ground, because the ground has, even me and Rex and I were talking about the negative ions that come from being at the beach. If you live in California or, somewhere where there's water, the negative ions really support your body getting its electrical charge back. And there's a lot of ways, and I teach this in my program, how to have a really high electrical charge in your body, because that's why people are like, you have such great energy. I focus on the electrical charge of my body. And so that's the only thing, is alcohol removes that charge. And that's what you feel. So replenishing your body like crazy afterwards. Like I said, go put your feet on the ground or go be by the beach. So you're kind of reinstilling that energetic state.
That's a really interesting point. You were talking about, we're spirit beings living in a physical body, that kind of thing, or a glove or whatever. I say it's a reasonably decent rental vehicle. I mean, in other words, yeah. And to the degree that we enjoy it, there are a lot of people who don't like their body. They hate their body. I mean, this is a mental thing. They go, I'm fat, I'm thin, I'm this, I'm that. They hate it. They don't like how it's processing. They're ashamed of a disability or whatever it might be, or the way they look. And so, I mean, there's a mental component to that. But what I like about what you're saying is the question was about alcohol. Then Ashley said, well, what about marijuana? And I'll let you answer that too. But I know for me, I used to drink, both for pleasure and also when it was beyond pleasure, because I wanted to forget something or I wanted to overcome something. I did lots of drugs at one time in my life, and a lot of marijuana, just because it was better at that time feeling high than it was anything else. I don't want any of that now. I mean, it is so foreign to me. I'll have a cocktail once in a while just because I like the taste, or I'm out somewhere, or a beer or a glass of wine or something. But truly, I don't enjoy the effect and or the outcome of it. And so, or even with pot or any of those things. But the idea that it's about electrical charge, like am I vibrating high or not high? Am I with a positive charge, or is my battery charged and full? Am I living vibrantly, or am I depleting myself by doing this? And so to the extent that I appreciate or love my rental vehicle is to the degree or extent that I will then take care of that vehicle. And I think this is a really interesting thing when you think in terms of energy and charge, as opposed to diet or exercise or food or have tos or musts or any of that. It's like, do I want a full charge battery and live vibrantly and healthy for the rest of my life, or do I want to live dragging my butt through the rest of my days and die with disease and disorder? So it's a very, very kind of, for me at least, listening to you, very clear choice about what I want, and maybe not everybody agrees with me. So or us.
Yeah, and I want to say, just for people who do drink, and like I said, it's not that I don't drink, it's just I'm so aware now, and I don't have that void I'm trying to fill. If anything, now it's like when I'm out with friends, it's almost like I don't want them. I'll sometimes I'll hold a drink. A lot of times is the best thing that works for me, is I will hold a drink, because then I don't get these questions all the time of like, why are you not drinking? Because then people go internal about themselves. Well, why do I need a drink and she doesn't need a drink? Well, let me hate on her then for not drinking. And and then they trash talk. And so it's like, it's annoying. So for me, I just have a drink in my hand. So this looks like I'm just one of the people getting hammered, and people don't even not notice it. And people leave me alone. And it works. And sometimes I'll sip on it. For me, it's just knowing I don't want to have to do the work after this to energetically get to that high again. Because that's what it is. It's like energetically having to do the work of feeling good again. Because when you start getting really in tune with your physical energy, it's different, right, than just having like an energy drink. It's a different type of energetics when you start focusing on and being aware of how your energy is and your vibration.
I confess, I have never had an energy drink.
Sounds like he likes to party.
I have never wanted one, never had a 5-hour this or an 8-hour that. I've never had a Red Bull or any of this. I don't need it, but and I don't want it. But I honestly, I will have a cocktail or a drink or something every now and then, but I don't need that either. But and water or coconut is just fine. So
yeah, well, and
I'm not trying to make anything religious or anything about drinking, whether it's good or bad. I'm just saying that I know what happens to my energy when I do certain things, and I would rather not do it.
Well, and I will go back to like whenever I wanted to drink all the time.
Can I interrupt you? Ashley is really on this thing about alcohol or pot, which is more important. Which can we do?
So I believe anything natural will definitely be first choice, and that's in my opinion, my experience. Anything that's natural would be the better one. So hands down, that one.
Okay, all right.
But I would say for anyone who does drink, it's asking yourself before you reach for the drink, because this was what really helped me. I had a mentor even ask, we were actually in Paris, France, and it was at this award ceremony, and he asked me, so why are you, if you don't need a drink, then why are you? Because I felt like he was trying to take away my alcohol, right? As he called me out on, he was like, you're drinking at this like really elegant event, like no one else here. In the wellness industry, in the wellness world, it's like a lot of people are afraid of that. Are freed of that need, because we have the endorphins being high from working out, putting good things in our body, like our frequency of our vibration, our energetic body is so high that a lot of times we're not escaping, right? It's usually escapism, trying to run into, I'll feel good if I have this drink. But if you naturally feel so good because you're putting all these good things in your body, what you're listening to, what you're reading, your intake, what you're digesting into your life is good stuff, naturally you're going to feel different. You're going to feel better. And now you might not be like, let me go take 5 shots of vodka like I used to do to feel better. Now it doesn't feel good because I feel better without it. But the question is asking yourself why. So you're reaching for a drink. In that moment, asking yourself why. Because a lot of times it can be avoiding doing the internal work. Maybe somebody said something that triggered you. Like maybe you're somewhere and somebody said something and you're like, man, I'm just kind of triggered. He said XYZ that pissed me off. Like F him, like, can I get but if you notice, where was the trigger? So if you can, this is just another option to drinking. You can still drink if you want, have at it. But I'm just saying, if you want to maybe not drink that day, asking yourself, okay, well, where was the trigger? Because typically we get triggered by something that happens and emotionally we go on a rampage of like, oh, F that guy, and it leads to this, leads to that leads to that, right? We get on this spiral effect of being in a negative mental space, and it leads to our being in a negative emotional space. And we feel that in our body. We feel these negative emotions and we're trying to escape the escapism of feeling that. So the alcohol will numb us real quick. So it's easy. And I know, I liked it. It was like, oh, let me just and even I will see those patterns still pop up. If something triggers me and I'm like, I don't feel like doing the emotional work right now, the internal work, because you kind of have to sometimes go within. And like I meditate, I do all of that, which I also think is huge. That's also supported me a lot. But doing the internal work of asking yourself, of like, what just triggered me?
So we're talking about alcohol, but could we do the same thing with sugar or with fats or with empty carbs? Could we say, why am I going for this? I mean, is that part of the approach to clean up all different areas of what we put in our bodies?
Yes, it's one of two things. Either your body is asking for a nutrient, like maybe you crave a lot of breads, a lot of carbs, pastas. Your body's likely asking for nitrogen. And so if you give your body leafy greens instead, you'll actually get that nutrient instead of piling on all these carbs that are going to cause you to gain the next 5 pounds next week or whatever.
Now, this is good to know, but now you know it. You know the science behind it. I don't. I mean, I'm eating and I go, geez, I want a lot of bread. I think I want some pasta. I want some mashed potatoes. Let me get some fries and a burger and, whatever. I just have this carb craving and I don't know what's going on. And you go, well, instead of eating that stuff because your body's after nitrogen, you should go for some leafy greens. Right? I mean,
yeah.
Did I quote you right? All right. So, but the point is, I don't need to know that I need nitrogen. You know that. You could tell me that and say, well, here's what I recommend. But otherwise, it's enough for me to know that if I have a huge craving for carbohydrates, I probably ought to go eat greens instead. Because when I do that, the bread craving and carb craving will go away because I'm putting the right nutrient, the right nitrogen into my body.
Yes.
So it's a signal. It's not telling you have to have carbs. The carbs craving is a signal to get something, and we've misinterpreted that signal because the marketing and everything else has got us eating all the crap, right?
Yep. And a lot of times even we're craving something salty, some salty chips, and your body's actually asking for water. But your body's also so intelligent that it knows if you eat a bag of salty chips, you'll likely drink some water. Or it also may be if there's sea salts, it may be the salts also that your body is asking for, the minerals. if the chips are somewhat healthy. But yeah, so your body's either asking for a nutrient or you're doing it out of a habitual eating. Like you're triggered by this emotion, and then it's a habitual thing. But there could also be like, sometimes we crave sugar. So sugar can be emotional, right? So it's asking, and Atomic Habits was one of the best books I ever read for that. So just side note for anybody struggling with that, Atomic Habits can be super supportive for you if you're wanting to change lifestyle habits. But when we're stressed, our brain is burning glucose. So we crave sugar, but you can just have a coconut water and get a healthy version of that and cool down the brain when you're stressed. Because think about it, whenever you're like, something just happened, you read a text message, and you're like, oh my gosh, you like something triggers you and you're stressed out. Or maybe you've been working a lot and you're just like, I just want a chocolate cake right now. Like I'm a chocolate person for sure. But like I'll crave like the cupcakes or the bakery stuff. And I always say, fill the need first, have something nutritious first. So like if you're craving sugar, go get a coconut water. One that on the ingredients, it just says coconut water. You don't need all the extra ingredients in it. Just organic coconut water, that's all you need. And then drink one of those first and then see how you feel. Because your body just is asking likely for a nutrient to support what it's going through. You don't actually need the big bunk cake or the big chocolate cake or the cupcakes.
This right there, though, again, this is just truly golden. In other words, if you have a craving and you can satiate that craving with something healthy first, the craving may disappear. And if it doesn't, you can still violate your code and go and have the cupcake or whatever, but you probably won't stuff as many cupcakes into your face because you've already dealt with meeting some of the needed or desired requirements, correct?
Yes. And I feel like this is where self-mastery really comes in, because that's part of my vision with my programs is helping people create self-mastery, where your self is actually navigating your body, saying like, no, we don't need this. We need this. No, yes, have this. Don't have, like your body, you're in control of your vessel. It's not running you. And I know you talk about this in your books, like if y'all haven't read Rex's book, you have to get it. But you're the one running the show. You're not being run by your body. Yes, there we are. Life on Your Terms. Phenomenal book. I feel like this is a lot of stuff I've studied over different years, but it's all funneled into one book. So it's phenomenal. So, but then you're able to, oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought. That was about to be a great sentence. Oh, where did it go?
It's gonna come back. You're going to recall it. You're going to go, oh, and it was this.
What was I talking about? What was I saying?
We were talking about the need to having replaced something first with nutrition. So
self-mastery. Yes. Thank you, Rex. I knew it was going to be good. Okay. So self-mastery, right? Because now we're practicing self-discipline where we're disciplining the flesh. Like, no, boo-boo, I know you want the chocolate cake, but you need the magnesium. You don't need that. This is what you need. So taking care of our body now, this becomes self-love. A lot of us are trained to neglect our body, neglect ourselves. It's also a form of self-hatred where you're the one in your show. You're the star of your movie. You're the star of your show. And like, if we don't take care of ourselves, we're expecting then people around us to be the one that takes care of us. So like what you want to be a burden on those around you because you don't want to take care of yourself. I think that's selfish. I think it's selfish to not take care of yourself, to not be putting your health first. Everything stems from that. Self-mastery, yes, everything stems from that. So being able to discipline the flesh and say, no, boo-boo, we need water right now. I know you want that bag of chips, but let's try the water first. And then if you still want the chips, okay, then I literally talk to myself like a child sometimes. And I'll literally tell myself, okay, if we drink the water and we eat the healthy meal, if you still want the chocolate-covered almonds, fine. Have the chocolate-covered almonds. Literally like I would a 5-year-old little girl, right? That's how I would discipline. If I had kids, I would discipline her and be like, okay, we're going to do this first. And then, babe, if you really, really want them afterwards, then you can have them. So that you can set up little like disciplines for yourself to help yourself create self-mastery. It's actually, there's a term called reparenting because I grew up in a very abusive, household. So I had to learn how to reparent myself because a lot of what I saw growing up was very toxic, very unhealthy. So I did my own self-deprecating habits to where I didn't need anyone to discipline me because I was already so horrible to myself putting trash in my body, getting blackout drunk as often as I could, saying horrible things to myself. When I looked in the mirror, you just wouldn't want to be in my mind on the things I would say to myself. I never needed anyone to correct me because I was always talking so much mad crap to myself. So that's how we can become our own worst enemy, you know? So it's reparenting ourselves sometimes, if that's what it takes, you know, depending on the environment you grew up in. Like I said, I grew up in a very abusive, you know, household. So that became second nature to me to abuse myself with food, with self-talk, with how I allowed people to treat me. You know, there was a lot of things that those were patterns I brought into my life from my childhood until I, you know, created new ways of thinking, like Rex's book, just different ways of thinking. And then it started to clear up a lot of that stuff for me. So.
Well, what I also like about what you're talking about is that you're not talking about denial. You're not denying yourself anything. You're saying, here, let's first see if this meets the need. Excuse me. And if it does, then you don't want it or need it because you're already satiated. And if it doesn't, well, then go ahead and have it because, you know, it's a form of respect, and it's a form of self-validation and a form of self-love. And because you love yourself, you're not willing to sacrifice yourself in the same way that we would have previously. In other words, we're not going to indulge in these things, and we are going to in self-mastery, as you and as Ashley point out. Excuse me. So, you know, and the graphic that's there with your self-mastery is the body, the heart, the soul, and the mind. They all are important together. And it's not one versus the other. And there's the atomic habits. So very, very good. But I mean, it would be fair to say that you address the whole person. Now, let me just ask you this question, and that is, when you work one-on-one with a person, you will tailor that so that you can tailor whatever you're doing with them based on their needs on a one-on-one approach. But here we're talking to the audience in large. You know, we're not talking to, you know, one person. You're not coaching them as you're known to do, right? So, again, going back to some of the general tips or approaches that we have in our remaining time, and we have a bit of time, but just because this is great, because it's the mind, it's the body, it's the heart, it's the soul, it's the entire thing. What aspects would you want to emphasize between now and the time, say, we close the show, that would be important for our viewers to watch? Is there a 3 or 4 or 5 or steps or something that you would tell people to engage in or to pay attention to?
The first thing that comes to my mind to share would be when you first wake up, programming yourself with better things, programming yourself for success, because this is just one area of life. But even like I know how your book talks
water.
About. Well, yes, water too.
No, but I mean, you said early, first thing in the morning, have water or lemon water, so it makes perfect sense to be programming your mind either before or after. I didn't mean to.
Yes. The first 30 minutes waking up, having something that you start to program your mind with, and then having your water, being in sunshine, at least 30 minutes a day. If you can create that, that's equivalent to an antidepressant. And I will never tell people to get off their medications, but wouldn't you rather be in the sunlight, you know, instead of being on a pill the rest of your life? You know, there are so many, I believe there's a natural remedy for everything. So being, oh, that's cute. Yep. So yeah, starting your morning right is huge, because typically we're fueled, like we talked about earlier, Rex, you know, you're fueled by your successes. So even if you can just master just your morning, master a morning routine. So waking up, having your water, and taking something in your mind that's going to be healthy. So it would maybe reading Rex's book or listening to an audio. I always have an audio picked out. I put them immediately on whenever I first wake up. Then I have a morning smoothie. Like some have a green smoothie. You know, throw as many greens as you can in there. I say greens, and then lemon too. I always say do the full lemon. What people don't realize is that there's more nutrients in the lemon peel than even in the lemon. Oh yeah, I got a feisty response on that.
They're going, absolutely. This is what you need to know. They're emphasizing, they're punctuating what you just said.
But yeah, so What was I doing? Oh, putting the lemon, like, so I put lemon every single day, the full, like I said, the peel, there's more nutrients in the peel. People want to throw that away. I'm like, oh my God, no, like, look it up. And I say that with everything that I've said, like, always go with what resonates with you. You know, I've had a lot of different teachers in my life that, like, some of the things they say resonate, and then some of the things I'm like, it just didn't really resonate. So I would say just take what resonates and then leave the rest. If that doesn't resonate, then, you know, cool, then, you know, leave the rest. But having a green smoothie every single day, looking at the areas that you can add, yes, beautiful. Having as many areas that you can add living foods into your diet, living foods every single day, you will start to see such a difference in your energy. Maybe reaching less for the alcohol too. As your energy starts to naturally raise, you're going to crave different foods. You're going to stop craving as much junk. When you put good things in your body will start to ask for good things. When you constantly are, go ahead. Were you going to say something?
No, go ahead.
When your body's used to having junk, you know, your body's used to having trash, then that's what it's used to. It's what that, of course it's going to ask for that, you know, so it's really fighting that urge and just voting for the next version of you. Give yourself permission to be that healthy person. I remember I used to make fun of that girl. There was a time in my life, I would be like, don't call me to work out, girl. Call me when you're trying to get a drink. Okay. I was that girl. I couldn't, and then I'm like, oh my God, look what you turned into. Like, you're that chick now, Michelle, you're that chick. You're like that healthy fitness person. And so I just say, give yourself the permission slip to be that if you want to be that. Like, if you want to eventually be like the healthy person out of your family, the one person maybe that's in shape. I don't know what like Thanksgivings are like for you. If you look around, your whole family is obese or overweight. So it's normal for you to be overweight because it's like my whole family is, right? But like, what would it be if you chose to be the leader for health in your family? Yeah, you could be, hey, and you can still turn up. I'm not making people choose, right? I will never say you have to choose, but it's just choosing, you know, being conscious of what you're putting in at all times. You can really become a master of your health.
Again, what I love is you're talking about self-mastery, and then you say, well, get up, you know, read something, you know, fill your mind with positive thoughts and fill yourself with water and lemon, have a smoothie, you know, with good stuff. And not sure what that had to do with anything, but the point is that you're talking about mastering your thoughts, mastering yourself, and then mastering your morning. And if you master your morning, if you start your day out right and you feel good and you're winning, it becomes easier to master, say, the afternoon, and then it becomes easier to master the evening. Some people go, you know, revamp your entire life, throw everything out, take everything, put it away, and, you know, do this. And then people are overwhelmed with everything they have to do. It's like the people who on January 1st go to the gym and they do everything they can, and 2 weeks later they don't go back to the gym. You're setting it so that they can win early in the morning and then keep winning throughout the day. And I really do like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because let's say you start the morning off with some cold pizza from the night before. You know, that's breakfast, like cold pizza on the run, whatever. Then like you've already messed up, you know, like you've already messed up for the day in a sense, right? You've already like, oh, well, won't matter now what you have next. A burger and fries, perfect. Throw it in there. Who cares? You know, right? We're in like, who cares mode. But whereas when you started the morning with, you had your water, your lemon water, you put some effort in, right? You had a little green smoothie. You had your green smoothie, and like you already made the right decisions for you. So now it's easier because you're like, I mean, we already put in 2 votes now for health. Like, well, let's do another go. Let's do something else healthy. Yeah, like maybe we'll have a salad. All right, maybe we'll have this or that. You know, then you're actually starting to look for healthier things because you're already like on this trend, right? It just tends to follow each other, and it makes it easier. It's easier to make better decisions. Oh wait, you're on mute.
What about exercise? Because I know people are going to say, well, how much exercise do I need? And how would you answer that? So if they're doing what you're already asking them to do, and that is get up, set your day right, and everything else, how much do they need to exercise? What's reasonable?
Well, so my belief is you just need movement. So I won't even necessarily say it has to be exercise, but some type of movement, right? Actually, energy comes from moving your body. Like your cells generate more energy by moving. Sometimes you're like, oh, I want to take a nap. If you go move around, you go for a walk, you could have twice the energy from a nap instead of a nap. You might go take a nap and then just still feel like chilling. but energy actually comes from movement in the body. And it does so much, like even the energy systems of the body, it can clear out. It helps metabolize your emotions. Like, oh my gosh, it's crazy what exercise really does. We're just so used to hearing exercise, right? That we don't, but it just has so many, especially mentally, you can start to get addicted to these literally feeling high from working out or from movement. So I would say when it comes to movement, at least 15 minutes of movement. So let's say you just want to walk around the block. Like some people, that's all I can really convince them to do. Like that's all they want to do. Okay, perfect. Go get some sunlight too. Perfect. Antidepressant. So even if it's 15 minutes of movement, that's your favorite type of movement that you enjoy. Yeah, it could even be basketball. It could be whatever, some type of movement. But if you're wanting results as in wanting to lose a lot of weight, that's different than just movement. So it depends on the results that somebody is wanting. Because if they're trying to be, a bikini competitor, then that's going to be a whole different conversation. That'll be like, okay, we need to talk on, probably hour and a half, 2 hours a day in the gym. Let's do morning and night where, and we'll do some cardio, some will be weights. So it also depends on the results somebody wants. But if somebody's just wanting to be just healthy in general, I would say 30 minutes of exercise a day. And that's just to be healthy, to feel good, get that endorphin. You get the endorphin high after 15 minutes. That's why I say, if you just want to do 15 minutes, perfect. But you'll also see a happiness, a joy. When you move your hips, we store emotions in our hips. So when you start to move your hips, especially after even like 15 minutes, you're actually metabolizing emotions out of your body that could have been from last week, last year, who knows when. But you're literally metabolizing energy in motion. You're out of your body just by moving your hips like that. That's why you feel so good after you do sprints or after you run. Go ahead. I saw you had a thought.
No. You're on a roll. Don't let me interrupt you.
That's why we feel so good when we do things like run or dance, because we're literally moving our hips and we're actually releasing energy and motion. We're releasing emotion out of the body. So it's so healthy, especially if you're going through something. Well, if anyone has seen the news this last year and a half, you need movement. We'll just say, okay, if you've lost anybody in your life, you need movement. Like it just, for every reason. If you deal with stress at your job. I remember when I first started having some success in my business, when one of my mentors said, okay, this is the time in your business where you start exercising. Because I remember I called her and I had this problem and I just like gave her this issue that I was having. And my mentor was like, this is when you start exercising. This is the point in your business where you start to, because we all deal with people, people business. And so I was like, okay. So she literally told me, oh, you're dealing with people stuff. You need 30 minutes a day now. She like basically, here, this is part of like the health of your business. Depends on the health of you. So 30 minutes a day is what she told me to do. So I was like, all right, never calling over the program with a problem again. She's going to make me go exercise, crazy lady. Wait, you're muted again.
Well, thank you. You know that it's really interesting because unless you're doing competition, like you say, you don't really need to be insane about stuff, but you do need to move. The new smoking is what? You familiar with what the new smoking is?
Oh.
Sitting.
Oh.
No, they're saying that the equivalent of smoking now, the damage to your health is sitting on your butt all day long, that people sit in their cubicles, their offices, they don't move, which is exactly what you're saying. So that the new really difficult health challenge for people is the lack of movement. And so that they should get up and stand at least every 20 minutes, or move around the room, because without that movement, all of that pressure is going on the lower part of your spine. Your bowels are always sitting there. Your hips are always compressed. So everything you're saying is absolutely vital and valuable. And the other thing I would point out that I have always maintained once I learned it is that as a human, as a species, we were built to move. And it's only since we were roamers, we hunters and gatherers, and we roamed, and we lived on the savannas and in the mountains and in the trees. And then when we created these boxes that we live in and jobs with artificial lighting, then everybody became sedentary and they moved into like cities or whatever, where now we don't move and we drive in boxes and we do all this stuff, so we don't have the same kind of movement. And one of the reasons why we are so unhealthy is exactly what you say. Not only do we not eat well because our food is poisoned and our water is poisoned and our air is poisoned and we're taking in stuff that's bad and our mental nutrition is lacking, but physically we are not moving nearly as much as we should be. So we have a couple minutes left, and I want to give you the opportunity to close out the show. And again, it's michellemcclain.org, and you do work with people individually as well as in groups. And so why don't we, if there's anything else that is important, I mean, you have so much and so much to give. If there's anything else you want to use to close the show, but also let people know how they can reach out to you if they want to visit your website or they want to work with you, what those steps are.
Yeah. Okay. So one thing I wanted to add, we were previously talking about the sedentary lifestyle, is you can also get something, I forgot what the actual term is for it, but it's basically like a mini trampoline. And a lot of people, especially if you're a Tony Robbins, say it again?
Rebounder.
Yes. Do you have one?
I do.
All right. So, yeah, I would invite anybody in that's listening to get a rebounder. Literally, you can get one off Amazon for like $50. They're super cheap, and they are so good for the body. But it's just that small movement, especially if you're sitting behind a desk all day long, to get your energy flowing. Because even now, if there are times where I've been sitting and I've been like typing, looking at numbers, or sitting for a while, and I feel like, oh, I could take a nap right now. Now knowing what I know, I'll actually go get on my rebounder. And I will literally put on a song that just like I really just get down to, have it that raises my energy, and I'll literally just I'll be jumping on this rebounder, and it completely changes your state. So whenever you're functioning from a level called a level 3, like think of the work you do whenever you're like kind of tired and you're like you're not very inspired, and the work that you do from a level 3 versus when you're at level 10, right? You feel good, you feel energized, like you got down to your favorite song and you did your rebounder. Or whatever it is for you that makes you feel good. But then you're at a level 10. So think of the work that you get done at a level 10. Completely different, 100%. You're a different human, right? Now a conversation happens with a business partner and maybe things didn't go right. You're like, we're going to figure it out. Versus at a level 3, you're like, everything always goes wrong. I can't even believe it. Yeah, it's about that size. And so, right, if you're at a level 3, then things impact you so differently, and how you function in the world is different. And this also includes drinking your water, eating your greens, putting the good things, getting sunlight so you don't have that depression feeling. It just really actually taking care of your body. And you accumulate a self-respect that you really can't find anywhere else whenever you're taking care of you, because no one else can take care of you the way you get to. And also it's part of taking responsibility. So I'll kind of close it with this is you get to take responsibility for your health. Like, you owning your own world, your own life, it gets to be your responsibility. So in like an empowering state of like, you get to transform however you want. You literally get to change every single cell starting today. You can start tonight because you have new cells right now as I'm speaking. You have new cells being created in your body. So if you're stuffing your face with a Big Mac right now, perfect. Like, but you could also chug some water right now, knowing you're about to nourish these amazing cells, and they're going to start to generate and create the best functioning cells. Yeah, cheers, Rex. Actually, I got my water bottle right here. Woo! But these new cells now are going to start to do what they're meant to do in your body. You're helping them instead of hindering your body, where your body's like, we've been trying and we're tired. Your cells are just tired, instead actually giving your body what it needs, that you get to, think of it as I get to take responsibility for myself, for my health. And even possibly be the leader in your family, because it's also breaking generational curses. Because you could also see it as though like, it's always been in my family, right? Like for me, like kind of alcoholism is that way. And like every family event, like I grew up with margarita machines at every event. And actually, I love my family. Like my family is wild and it is a blast. Oh my gosh. And there's nothing wrong with that. Right. But it's also like I get to also break generational curses. Like, I don't know if I'll raise my kids, if I have kids, we'll say. If I have kids, I don't know if I would raise them with margarita machines. And maybe I would. I don't know. I'll have to ask that version of Michelle when she shows up, if she shows up one day. But knowing that you have the power, you have the responsibility and the power to break any generational curses in your life. And that includes the number one thing I would say in life is health. That's how you create true wealth in your life, because who cares if you're a billionaire, but you're so overweight that you don't even have energy to play with your grandkids. You don't even have energy to create more of your purpose. If you're still here, that means you have more of a purpose in your life that hasn't been fulfilled yet. So that means you get to get up to going more after your purpose and doing more things. And so that energy gets to come from how you treat yourself, your intake in all areas, listening to good things, taking the good things in, drinking your food, your good food, and your good water. So with that, I believe I am complete, Mr. Rex.
Well, I think it's absolutely brilliant. I'm going to add one thing to the things that you say, because everything that you have shared has been so down to earth and practical and valuable. I mean, it truly is valuable. If people will just do what you've said in this show, they can make significant changes. But because it's so practical, and I do have a rebounder, and here's what I discovered: if I put a rebounder in another room, I rarely use it because it's out of sight, it's out of mind. But if I put it on the way to the bathroom or on the way to the kitchen, then every time I get up and I walk to go to the bathroom, I either bounce my way before or bounce my way afterwards on the way back, or both. So if you put it in a trafficked area of your house where you see it, then you'll use it, unless you use it as, putting stuff on it, like, your luggage and everything else. So you don't use it as a tabletop, you use it to bounce. So
that is brilliant. Setting yourself up for a win. Yeah, I want to add one more thing to that. Just even things like setting yourself up to win, like meal prepping, having your water already ready the night before on your nightstand, right? It's like moving the excuses out of the way. How can you make it easier for yourself? How can you vote for the win? How can you so thinking ahead of time, what could be in the way of me doing this? Because when you can backtrack, so what would be in the way of, like, oh, then I have to get up, then I have to go over here, and whatever the excuses are. So how can you make it easy? How can you make your life easy on yourself? Sometimes I'll sleep in my workout clothes. If I'm committed to my workout in the morning and I'm like, oh, I'm not going to want to go, and I already know it, then I will put on I'll sleep in my workout clothes. All I have to do is put my tennis shoes on. There's no thinking that has to happen. There's no time for my subconscious mind to kick in and be like, no, but we don't do that. We're not the workout person. You don't leave that space for your mind to talk yourself out of it. You're just like, you see the shoes and you just go. Ignore your feelings and go. Because there's going to be all that chatter, right, that pops up that says, no, but it's easier to go have the fast food. It's easier to skip the workout. It's easier, or maybe it tastes better to have the Coca-Cola. But so when you set yourself up to win, you will.
Absolutely wonderful. And Sharon points out that you said move the excuses out of the way and set yourself up for the win. Make it easy. Somebody said they have their rebounder in the refrigerator. I mean, that's in the living room. There it is. Sharon is saying that they have it in the living room. So absolutely, Michelle, this has been absolutely wonderful. You are absolutely wonderful, and your vitality and your health radiate in everything that you do. And I'm so pleased to have you here. I know people are going to want to watch this again because you've dropped so many important nuggets again and again and again during this talk. And I hope they reach out to you at michellemcclain.org so that they can be in touch with the programs that you offer and in touch with you. So I want to thank you for that. And I want to thank you for being
I also want to say you can follow me on Instagram too. I'm more frequent on Instagram than on Facebook and everywhere else. Design Your Body. I'll just spell normal, Design Your Body.
On Instagram.
Yes.
And it's all one word.
All one word.
Michelle, you're marvelous. I want to thank you for being here. Thanks so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. And we'll do this again sometime soon.
Meanwhile, yes, thanks. Well, and lastly, I want to say, if you do want to drink, if you want to have your cake, you only live once. So YOLO, but just everything in moderation. Okay? All right. Thank you for having me on. It's been a blast.
You're wonderful. Thank you. It's been great. And I want to thank Michelle for being here, and I want to thank you for being here. And it has been, and thank you, Cindy. That is wonderful of you to say. And so many of you who have been leaving comments or asking questions. I hope we got to all of them. But if not, you can still reach out to Michelle and get answers either on Instagram or on her website. So thank you for being here. I'm Rex Sikes. I am the author of Life on Your Terms. If you haven't read the book, I want you to read that book. It is a life-changing book. I want you to read the book. And in order to have you read the book, I'm going to give you a $497 training, absolutely free. You go get the book on Amazon. You put the receipt code, and I'm going to give you a website. You put the receipt in there from your Amazon purchase, and for $19, $20, whatever it is, you'll get a $497 training, absolutely free, on mastery, on how you learn, how we master skills, master our thoughts, master behaviors, putting Michelle's work into practice, mastering that. So go and get the book, and then go to my website, Rex Sikes, and this is wherever my name is on this thing. There it is, rexsikes.com/LOYT, capital L, capital O, capital Y, capital T, Life on Your Terms. Okay, there you go. And so go there. You'll get your training when you put the receipt number back in. I want to thank you for being here. And thank you, Tim. He's going to hold a picture there of holding up the book. If you get the book, go ahead, get the book, rate and review it on Amazon, and send me a picture with you holding the book. I would love that. Thank you. That would be very kind and very cool. So we've had Michelle McClain on today, and it's been wonderful to have her here. And my next guest is going to be Carla Berkowitz. She is the producer of the movie Critical Thinking, which stars John Leguizamo. So that's next Thursday. Remember, we stream every Thursday live at 3 p.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. Mountain time, 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern, and there wherever else it is around the world on the Los Angeles Tribune live TV page. And I want to thank Mo Rock and the Los Angeles Tribune for giving me this opportunity to have the show. I want to thank Ori Spado for reminding me to wear a suit even when I'm outdoors, or a suit coat, sport coat, even when I'm outdoors. And all of you who are watching and listening, please go ahead, hit the like buttons if this is on YouTube or anywhere there's a like button. Go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and leave comments. And please do something that is most valuable, and that is share the show for your friends, your family, and even strangers, so that they too can benefit as you and I do from my guests on the show. And I've had some incredible guests. I'm going to have many more. So thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your love and support. I am Rex. If you treat everything like a blessing and consider everything a blessing, then everything is a blessing. And with that, celebrate everything.